Hello BookTube, this is Aaron from Aaron Read a Book or Aaron Read a Book. I thought I'd do a little quick video today because I think I, like a lot of people now, use AI chatbots in my day-to-day work pretty much all day long, and it has helped me a lot. But I've never used it for my hobbies, so I thought I'd give it a go as a sort of robot librarian and feed it all my data and see what it recommends and see what it thinks about me as a reader. So you can download or export all your Goodreads data in your profile, and it will give you your ratings and reviews and everything. So I've done that. I'll put a picture on here of what I've done, and I've deleted all the information that it doesn't need, so it doesn't, the file's not too big basically. But I basically kept my reviews on their ratings, so it has the raw data. And I'm going to feed this into ChatGPT, and I'm giving it this prompt: you are a robot librarian, you will analyse my Goodreads data and give me a full report on what type of reader I am, what types of books I like, themes, etc. And then you give me 10 authors I should try based on this data who do not appear in it. That's an important mention. And 10 books that I should read. I have tried this before, and it can be a bit glitchy, but let's see what it comes up with. So the first thing it's given me is an overview of my reading habits. So it's got 718 books logged, so that's a good amount of data. 403 authors. My average rating, which is apparently 3.93, which shows me that I am a good chooser of what I am reading. And my most frequent authors, not a huge surprise to me. It's number 1, Ursula K. Le Guin, 17 books. 2, Robin Hobb. 3, Terry Pratchett. I would say that Terry Pratchett would probably win this list if I had Goodreads all my life, because a lot of the Terry Pratchett I read when I was a kid, so it was pre-BookTube. Goodreads, sorry. Agatha Christie 13, Patrick O'Brien 13, William Shakespeare. I'm looking very cultured there, and Anthony Trollope, Adrian Tchaikovsky, George Orwell, and Jane Austen. So that's a great list. It says you're clearly a diverse, engaged reader with a strong interest in both classic and speculative literature, valuing depth of character and world building over genre boundaries. I like that. That does sound like me. It makes me sound good. Then it's given me my thematic profile. So it's by analysing the language of your reviews, the most frequent and reoccurring themes and topics are 70 mentions of love in my reviews. That's probably just me saying I love it, though. I think it's glitching a bit there, because I don't think I would say in my reviews that the theme of the book is love. 60 mentions of history, 33 mentions of family, 25 mystery, 19 war, 18 fantasy, 15 science, 8 society, 6 power, 6 nature. Broadly speaking, those themes sound about right, though, even though I think it's done quite a rudimentary analysis of the language of my reviews. It says this suggests you are drawn to emotionally intelligent human stories that explore interpersonal dynamics, love, family, friendship, history or political context, history, war or society, imaginative philosophical works, fantasy, science and power, which I think is pretty accurate. I would say I don't like philosophy as a standalone subject, but I do like philosophical science fiction, so that makes sense. Your reviews also show a strong appreciation for beautiful prose and complex, morally layered characters. Again, I think that's very fair. I do love character-driven books, and Who doesn't like beautiful prose? I mean, that's easy. My reading personality. You appear to be a reflective idealist. That sounds very fancy. A balance of empathy, intellect and imagination. Well, if you say so. Patterns indicate a fondness for literary fiction with emotional resonance, like Elizabeth Jane Howard, Elizabeth Taylor and Tyler. Bit of Regency bias there because I read my first ever Elizabeth Taylor and Anne Tyler books last month. Fascination with speculative and mythic storytelling, Le Guin, Hobb, Pullman, Pratchett. An appreciation for historical and classical narratives, Shakespeare, Trollope, Mantell. You prefer books that linger on the human experience than relentless pacing. That's interesting. Linger on the human experience. So maybe it's saying I like a slower paced book rather than relentless pacing. But I would argue I like everything. Your top rated authors include AJ Langoof. I don't even know who that is. I think it's a historian. So I think this is another place where it's glitched, and I've only read one book by this author, and I've given it 5 stars. Laura Hillenbrand. I definitely only read one of her books, which is that one about Louis Zamperini, which is a brilliant book. Larry McMurtry, again, only read one of his books. Hilary Mantel. I've read 4 Hilary Mantel books, so she's done well to get up there. John Krakauer, again, only one book, but a brilliant book, which is Into Thin Air, about getting stuck on Mount Everest. And Elizabeth Jane Howard, which is true. I've read 7 Elizabeth Jane Howard books now, I think, and I'm rereading them now. This blend shows you appreciate meticulous research, moral complexity and craftsmanship. You like when a writer understands people deeply and treats history or fantasy as a mirror for life. That is true. Okay, now this is the bit where it glitches. 10 authors you should try, not in your data. I specifically told it not like outside of my data. Number 1, Marilyn Robinson. I've obviously read all of Marilyn Robinson. I've read all of her fiction books. So I looked back in my Goodreads data just to make sure it hadn't glitched. But Marilyn Robinson's definitely in there. 2, Maggie O'Farrell. Again, I've read Maggie O'Farrell, but I've only read Hamnet. So I do actually think that I should try more Maggie O'Farrell because I liked Hamnet, but I have issues when some fantasy gets mixed in with historical fiction, so it wasn't a perfect book for me. 3, Hilary Mackay, beautifully observed family narratives. I do not know this author, so it has done well here. And if you do know who Hilary Mackay is, please let me know down below. I will do some research. Guy Gavriel Kay. I haven't read any Guy Gavriel Kay, but I do own one of his books, Tigana, and I know he did some stuff with Christopher Tolkien. I think he worked on the Silmarillion and stuff, and I also know him from Mariana Mass books because she's always praising her channel. She's always praising him and always making him sound really interesting because he writes kind of quite historical fantasy type books, I think. Number 5, Kazuo Ishiguro. I've read Ishiguro. I've read 2 of his books, but I probably should read more of his books because what's the one with Anthony Hopkins in it? I can't remember the name of the book, but the film has Anthony Hopkins and Emma Thompson in it. I loved that one. That was 5 stars. Colm Tobin. I see his name a lot, but again, I've not read him. I don't really know anything about him. It says reflective, elegant character studies. So he might be worth checking out. I'm sure someone watching this video has read him, so let me know what you think of him. Number 7, Mary Renault. Of course I've read Mary Renault. Oh, again, I should read more of her. I have only read one of her books, to be fair. which I believe my memory's not very good today. I don't know why. I think it was the first book in her Alexander the Great series. Number 8, Anne Patchett. Have not read Anne Patchett, but I've heard lots about her on BookTube, so I am curious about her, and I think I own one of her books on Kindle. Again, cannot remember the name of it off the top of my head. Number 9, Jo Walton. Have read one Jo Walton book, among others, which is a great sort of, it's a fiction about a young girl growing up reading classic science fiction, but it's got loads of great recommendations in it. And also, I used to read Jo Walton's Tor diary. She does it on Tor.com. She does the publishers. She used to do a diary of her reading every month, and she's like an avid reader and reads tons of books, and she always done interesting recommendations on there. So I've got loads of recommendations from Jo Walton, but I have not read a lot of her stuff, but I do want to read more. Number 10, Sarah Waters. I've read Sarah Waters as well. I've read The Night Watch, which I really enjoyed, and I have started buying her other books, so at least it's getting my taste right. It's just not getting that they're not in my data, because they are in my data. Nearly lastly, 10 books that you should read next. Gilead by Marilyn Robinson. I've read Gilead twice. I also put in the data how many times I'd read each book. I left it at the end. So you should know I've read Gilead twice. Hamnet I've read. Tigana by Guy Kavrilke. I just mentioned that I own that book, but I haven't read it, so that's good. Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I have read that, and I didn't really like it very much. It was his other book that I really loved. The Remains of the Day. That's the Anthony Hopkins one. So my brain's starting to wake up. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. If not yet read, you should know. I gave you all my data. I have read it. It's great. The Night Watch by Sarah Waters. Again, I have read that. Small Things Like These by Kate Keegan. Again, I've read that. I've read it. I loved it. The Lines of Al Rassan by Guy Kavrilke. So it's given me 2 of his books. This is the one that Mariana Mass Books really loves, so I do want to read that. The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin, reread if it's been a while. Do you think I would have read the most books by Ursula K. Le Guin than any author I've ever read and not read The Dispossessed? Of course I read The Dispossessed, but I do need to reread it. The Signature of All Things by Elizabeth Gilbert. This is the only book on this 10 recommendations that I have not even heard of. So if you've... Hang on, did I just buy one of her books? My phone checking if I'd read one of her books, but I haven't. Or bought one of her books, I haven't. So that one's interesting. I'll check that one out, and if you've read that, let me know. And finally, summary of your reading identity. Genre core, literary fiction, historical novels, intelligent fantasy. Interesting that it went in fantasy, not science fiction, but I guess maybe it's blending them both. Tone preference, reflective, humane, occasionally ironic. That sounds about right. Character versus plot, strongly character orientated. It's got me there. Themes, love, family, history, moral struggle, imagination. I suppose family comes up so often in this, but I do like Tolstoy. Pace, prefer slow burning development over action. That's true. Reader type, contemplative. I can't even say the words. So how can I be so like that? Emotionally literate. Thank you very much. And curious about human motives. I like it. So I think, on reflection, so far ChatGPT is good at analysing what type of reader I am and what type of books I might like, but it's not very good at actually not repeating what I've already told it. I know, like, out of those 10 books and 10 authors, I've read them before, so a lot of them, so it's obviously an idiot, so it's not going to replace our librarians immediately. Of course, partially this is my own bad prompting and stuff, but I did give it a CSV data file and it uses Python to analyse it. So it should be accurate. Like, why would it include those authors when I specifically told it not to? So it's not going to replace our librarians anytime too soon. Because if you went to a library and you went, oh, I really like Ursula K. Le Guin, can you recommend me a book? Yeah, The Dispossessed. Of course I've read it. But yeah. Anyway, I thought it was an interesting thing to do. Let me know if you've done anything similar, or upload your own data into Goodreads and see how it goes. Have a good one, BookTube. Bye.